This week on the show, we're talking loot boxes in video games and Sony's head stepping down. This is Birds of Play.
I put a spell on you. Welcome to Birds of Play, episode 51. My name's John Starlin McCrone.
I'm Logan Anstead.
Forza 7, is that still part of it?
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about it.
All right, so bigger discussion. Forza 7, Shadow of War released this week. To much chagrin about their microtransaction systems.
Shadow of War released this week?
Yeah. You didn't? Oh.
I missed the news.
Well, nobody really likes it as much as the first one because of loot boxes.
Yeah.
All right, what do you
Let's
mean?
Let's get into it.
Okay. So
Lay down the law.
Let's talk about why people are so upset. So
Right.
starting with Shadow of War first. Everybody knows about the Nemesis system that they had in the game. They've kind of expanded upon that by having the ability to recruit orcs to fight for you and having these, they have different rarity levels and different personalities and different, skill levels. In order to get the high level ones, it seems to be very difficult to find them.
Right.
People have had mixed reports of being able to find them within their game, but one of the main ways to get them is by paying real world money and getting them through their loot box system. Keep in mind, this is a $60 game. This is not a free-to-play game. And so people have been very upset about that. The thing that they're even more upset about is that Act 4 of the game, which is supposedly having the one true ending to the game, is locked behind this system of getting these high-level orcs, which you can typically only find in the loot boxes.
Right.
So that's the issue with Shadow of War.
So, just speaking on that, we talked earlier in episodes about the Shadow of War problem and what it was supposed to be. And previously, I said that I didn't think it was a big deal because we thought it was mainly, or at least entirely, tied to multiplayer and multiplayer gameplay. Now, however, we're seeing that although this system isn't, you don't walk up to the fourth act and say, okay, here's the paywall again, give us $10 to continue, but it is a lot more, they're nudging it a lot more than I thought they were going to, especially in the single-player sphere. They're pushing players to do it, which is not good, which is bad.
Yeah, so let me read some of what reviewers and people were saying. When you beat Shadow of War, it unlocks a new post-game mode called Shadow Wars, where the flashy castle siege sequences are flipped on their head. Rather than trying to take over fortresses in Middle-earth, you're holding on to the ones that you have from invading armies. It gives players something to do in the world after the story is seemingly over, except in this case it isn't. Monolith, which is the developer for the game, has hidden the game's true ending behind completing the Shadow Wars mode. The reviewer didn't feel any need to purchase a loot box system in the campaign, but Shadow Wars was different for him. He explains it this way. When you run out of in-game money, you have two choices. Make a huge time investment by hunting down orcs in the game world and earning chests via vendetta missions, or spend some real-world money to get the more powerful orcs you need now. So the game never forces you to spend the money.
Right.
But it's, once again, where we're seeing
It's the nudge.
the way a game operates is being changed by a microtransaction currency game. And this is a $60 game, and this is we hammer this down, and a lot of people say this is a problem with the video game industry. This game, literally, the review scores, the main thing they're knocking it for is this microtransaction system.
Right.
And that's incredible because this game could have been like a 9, 10-ish, kind of like how the first one was. This is getting 7.5s, 7s
I just saw
because of the microtransaction
The Metacritic average is a 7.5.
Yeah.
Mainly because of this loot box controversy.
And they said the campaign is good. This, the missions are improved. The story's a little meh because you have the Spider Woman. We talked about that earlier.
Always.
But
Shelob.
the main criticism is the microtransaction system, and I think we're hitting a point where this is getting bad. Now, with that, let's talk about Forza 7, which is arguably more egregious in some people's minds.
Porsche.
So prize crates are the new thing in Forza 7. They were in Forza 6, but not in the way they are in Forza 7. Let me explain. You can still buy many of the cars with credits, but if you want to boost your experience or credit earnings, you need to turn to mod cars, which only come out in prize crates. And this is such a complicated system that I have to read quotes from. That's why microtransactions suck.
I already don't understand it.
Mod cards are limited use where they used to be unlimited. So it's kind of like Destiny changing the shader system where they used to be unlimited. Your eyes roll back in your head. Basically, if you want to use mods, you'll have to have a rolling supply, meaning you're always picking up prize crates. You might have enough money to buy the fancy Ferrari, but because it's locked behind a certain tier, you can't access it until you buy enough cars from other tiers first.
What?
Yeah.
Why?
Because microtransactions.
Why?
So this this brings into the bigger discussion, and this is where I just want to get away from the facts about how the loot system works in these games and get to the point of microtransactions invading the video game industry. And is there a way to do it correctly?
No.
In a $60 game, I don't believe there's a good way to do it.
And the reason I say that is because a lot of games, the way to do it, like PUBG, for instance, it's purely cosmetic stuff in the microtransactions, but that in and of itself is frowned upon by a lot of the audience just because of that base structure. They hate the structure. And two, reason I'm against it is because I think morally what we've seen is it's very incorrect in the way it functions, because we see CSGO lotteries and they're preying on young kids. They're preying on, undeveloped minds, stuff like that, which is, I'm against that.
Yeah.
So I think the only thing it's born of greed and it breeds greed.
And
that's the only thing it is.
The thing about microtransactions in the video game industry is none of them are good. There's just varying degrees of bad.
Yes.
So I think people tout Overwatch as a good example of the way to do it right. I don't think it's right, but cosmetic only, if you're going to do it, is one way I think that you can improve upon it. Now, there are still complaints with Overwatch because, one, the grind to get a loot box in Overwatch is crazy.
It's insanely
you almost never
difficult.
get good stuff. And when you have the events come out all the time, you can maybe get one skin if you're constantly playing the game and saving up credits. So, I have 3,000 credits saved. That's going to get me one of the Halloween skins coming up in the upcoming update.
Right.
And that's just not something I want to grind for. But when you're talking about games like Shadow of War, having loot crates in a single-player game, first off, WB sucks with the way they do microtransactions.
No WB.
They suck.
You don't mess with my game, WB.
They can't make single-player games that work on PC anyway.
Get out of here.
All the Arkham games were screwed.
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat X was screwed.
Yeah, terrible.
But you're going to charge $60 and then expect me to pay more in microtransactions for your single-player game that inhibits the way the game evolves because you put the system in.
And one that will most likely have paid DLC in the future.
And not to mention, they put their tribute to one of their fallen developers. One of their developers got cancer, died within development of it, and they made him a $5 micro DLC that you can purchase.
Right.
They didn't give it away for free with pre-orders.
Right.
They couldn't even do that. They had
Although,
to charge $5 for it.
I must say, I believe it was either all or most of the proceeds of that for the first...
The profits from it are coming.
Yeah, the first year are going to that family or whatever. But it's still only the first year or something. So
It's just the unfathomable greed, and this is what we've talked about, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, which I probably just butchered the name of. $30 game came out from Ninja Theory earlier this year, bringing back the middle tier game that we have missed for so long. It's what THQ used to do all the time.
Right.
They showed that you can release digitally, you can make a AAA quality game, a full-length game, release it for cheaper without a publisher, and be fine.
Right.
And I think that is setting a precedent for what I want to see going forward. It's the same thing, not as successful, Lawbreakers, right?
Right.
$30, multiplayer only. They do have the loot crates, though.
Cliffy B, you lose again.
They do have the loot crates, though, which pisses me off. But these $30, $40 experiences are things that I'm looking forward to playing. And if you are spending so much money on marketing and having this egregious $200 million, $300 million budget, and you can't recuperate your money from selling multiple million copies, that's ridiculous, and something needs to change. And I think it's not from the player standpoint, it's from the publisher standpoint.
Industry standpoint.
And I just think back to Square Enix. The original Tomb Raider sold 4 million copies, and that was disappointing.
Right, exactly.
Are you kidding me? 4 million copies, that's disappointing for you? What are you spending your money on?
Right.
What are you doing?
New engines for Assassin's Creed.
And
that's where all game money goes to.
But
it goes to Assassin's Creed.
But I think of the Call of Duty series. They took 10 years to update their engine, and then when they did, they still have loot boxes crazy. It's the reason I'm not buying Call of Duty World War II this year, is because I know it's going to divulge into another microtransaction.
And they're always so complicated, and I don't care, and I don't care.
It's just it's just a sad state of affairs.
It's super bad.
So
super sad.
Both of our verdicts, there's no good way to implement microtransactions in a $60 game.
Some would say it's super bad.
Yeah.
The movie. Go watch it. This episode is sponsored by Superbad.
Superbad.
2004?
Your favorite Jonah Hill flick. 2007?
I have no idea.
Moving on.
Moving on.
What's not super bad?
Sony. Super bad.
But yeah, Andrew House is stepping down, which is very interesting.
Yeah?
He's stepping down by the end of the year. Made some comments along with the fact that he's stepping down, and let me pull those up.
Let's read them out.
But Andrew House has been with the company for quite a long time. I mean, PS3 era, he was big. PS4, he was the one who revealed it.
Right.
PS4 Pro, I remember him holding it uncomfortably because he's kind of a smaller man. It was just kind of funny. But yeah, so Andrew House is stepping down from PlayStation at the end of the year, and this is the statement he made. I'm tremendously proud of what we've built at PlayStation and Sony Interactive Entertainment, entertaining millions globally with the best games and creating a fully fledged digital entertainment company. PlayStation has been a huge part of my life for more than 20 years, but with the business having achieved record-breaking success, now seemed to be the right time for me to pursue new challenges, which is kind of confusing to me. I shall always treasure the friendships and people that I've made at SIE, such a wonderful place to work. I'm also grateful to PlayStation fans and gamers around the world for their loyalty and support. John and the team at SIE are world-class, and I know the future with PlayStation is very bright. So he's going to remain with the company.
You mentioned me?
Yeah, you, John. You.
I'm
You
Andrew,
special
the
boy.
house's special boy.
You special boy. Oh my God.
That's not
but
true.
so he's remaining with the company till the end of the year.
Right.
But I don't know. Could this be marking a change? I guess for PlayStation. Like, why now? They're at the top. They're at the top of the world. Everything's doing well.
Well, I think that might be why.
You think he wants to just go out on a high note? It's kind of like Jack Trenton.
Right.
He went out as soon as the PS4 came out.
Either
you think it's that?
He either
type of
wants to
thing?
go out on a high note, or maybe he sees it like, okay, we finally made it.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need me anymore. I want to go start something totally new and get that working up. Or the high note. I'll just say, I always like seeing new blood, especially these top tier positions. I always like seeing new blood come in.
When Sean Layton came in, that was super interesting.
Right.
I mean,
they bring a whole new energy.
the T-shirts on stage.
Exactly.
He was super nervous in like 2014 because he replaced Jack Trenton. But I do agree with you. New blood is really cool, but like, I wonder how this is going to impact the momentum PlayStation has. They have enough coming out within the next year, but this is more of a, we're going to see the repercussions of this in 2019.
Right. Well, I mean, the way PlayStation's been rolling is we have the PS4, which is a stable box, and it seems like we'll just keep upgrading that kind of as we need to. Like, they're not doing anything crazy. They're not going Scorpio. They're not doing like augmented reality stuff on their own.
That we know of yet.
That we know of yet. But even if we do, I think if he steps down by the end of the year, like, he has those things in set. So I think they're at a very stable place where they know what gamers want, and that's games. That's something necessarily Andrew has to deal with. That's just, work with publishers.
And that's
stuff
something
like that,
else he addressed
developers
this
and
week.
Stuff like that.
That's something else he addressed this week because they asked him about the possibility of a Vita 2. And he said, a hybrid-style gaming system does not represent a huge market opportunity outside of Japan and Asia. And I agree, because they had him commenting on, yo, the Switch is really successful. Are you guys going to respond with a Vita 2? And I think it's a good decision for PlayStation. It's not the decision I want. I would love to have a Vita 2. I loved my Vita. It was a great little system.
No one else
But
had the Vita.
that's the problem. Nobody bought it. And
It
part of that is
sucks.
because Sony didn't have the best support for it.
No.
The first-party games weren't super stellar. Uncharted was good, but Nathan Drake's eyes were like, Killzone Mercenary was a good game, but once again, there just weren't enough systems out there to keep the momentum. You need systems to sell games. You need games to sell system, and neither was there.
And you need microtransactions to keep the business going.
No.
Keep doing
No.
microtransactions. I changed my mind. I like microtransactions.
But it was interesting to see his comments just in terms of, outside of Japan and Asia, like, handhelds don't work as
one
well.
cares.
At least their version of handhelds, because the Switch is selling like gangbusters worldwide.
Switch isn't even, I don't know, it's a handheld console.
But it's like, the Switch just seems like such an anomaly compared to like what everybody was expecting, because everybody's like, oh, all your games are on your phone, and even Sony is developing games for iOS and Android right now, right? They hired this outside company that they've brought in as a first party to make Android and iOS games. But Nintendo's like, yo, we got the Switch, and it's like a handheld, and it's a home console, and we're selling way more than anybody expected.
Super Mario Odyssey.
So
yeah, boy.
So rest in peace chances of the Vita 2. Maybe the PS5 will be a hybrid console by some grace of God.
No.
But I don't want that, though. So,
Birds of Play, episode 51. I'm John Tyler McCrone.
Logan Anstead, thank you guys for watching this week. We'll see you next time.
Bye. Bye-bye. A subdued viewing of the lions in nature.
Rar.
Rar, 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 rar.
Where did the Lions thing come up?
I don't know, I just thought of it. You ever see a lion?
Yeah.
Majestic.
Have you ever seen that dude who's like the animal behaviorist that like is friends with like the 38 pack? That dude is nuts.
I want to be that
How
guy.
is he not dead yet?
I want to have a lion friend.
They had two the two lionesses,
Right.
and they had a hyena come in, and the lionesses started attacking the hyena, and he was in the middle of it.
No.
And he's like, I just got scratched a bit. He's got a giant mark on his arm.
It's
What are you doing?
when what's his face is with the predators. He's like, they know respect. They respect. That's what it is.